Hello once again and welcome back to the 2015 League of Legends World Championship. The players are getting ready on that stage there as Team Solo Mid is about to face off against KT Rolster. Now, if KT win, not only do they secure their spot in the quarterfinals, they obviously, of course, knock TSM out of contention for a quarterfinal spot. So there's a lot on the line for both of these teams. It's do or die time. What are the main factors that we're looking at as TSM did look better in their first showing today, but still unable to pull the trigger and close a game?
Yeah, TSM ran into the same problems that they've always had, but it also looked like they were suffering from nobody wants to knock them out of the tournament on their own team. But you can't have that, because then you're playing not to lose instead of playing to win. You have to play for keeps, because they have to win every game from here on out on TSM and keep KT down. So you have to be able to just clear your head. It's much easier said than done, but also take responsibility for things and at least step up to the plate to make those plays.
Yeah, I think the scary thing here for TSM and what I want them to improve on is what Origin did, and that's play the map a little bit better. They need to be able to rotate around very crisply outside of the early game. Their early gamers look fantastic. If they can transition that, there is a chance, because when we've seen KT looking good, it's when they control the big zones and get their ward line down. TSM need to do a very good job of denying that and maybe starting some advantageous team fights.
It's like, I feel you're saying that the early game, I think it has looked better, I agree, but I don't think it has looked good enough to impress me, because I feel like Santor needs to get more active. He needs to get his hands dirty. I feel Lost Boy should start to make decisions where he leaves the lane, because they aren't really dominating the ball. And maybe he should leave the lane, do some roams. I want to see Dyrus as well to make use of his teleport, because throughout the game they are just too inactive. They're just chilling at their turrets.
Yeah.
It cannot happen.
We had the criticism that they went to the mid lane once, secured that kill onto Xpeke, never made a return gank, never looked to really propel Bjergsen ahead.
They're like being nice. They need to be bullies. When somebody blows their flash, you just come get them again. You try to tilt them off the face of the earth. Keep going after that. The dagger's in, you got to twist it.
Especially with a Malphite, man.
Right. And then, of course, we got to flip over to KT. We just saw them play, and they're looking very solid. So for them, I have to imagine a lot of it is just clean execution, play like you've been playing.
I'm just thinking back to the previous game that they played. It was pretty clean. The only advantage CSM had was Bjergsen in the mid lane. That killed Nagne 1v1, but TSM failed to play on that pressure, and KT simply dominated the bot lane, dominated the top, and transitioned that into a late game team fight where Nagne was more useful than Bjergsen in the end.
All right, well, slow and steady wins the race for KT, and that's pretty good against TSM as a team. Down the line, predictions. Zyrene, we're starting with you.
I'm also going to go with just KT here again. I went with them earlier today. They didn't let me down. Sorry about your LGD, man. But, yeah, I feel like KT play a better late game than TSM currently, and their shot calling and macro play, although it's not the best of the tournament, is still better than TSM's at the moment.
Yeah, when I look at this matchup, I just see the KT top laner someday going up against Dyrus, and I get so scared. So I think that KT will be able to once again use that lane, as they have all tournament long, to just snowball advantages around the map and start great team fights.
While I feel personally that TSM had the tools to take some of these wins with the Bjergsen advantages mid, they've just proven that they cannot really execute on it. They're playing way too passive, and I have to go with KT.
There you have it. We're a unanimous desk here. We're going to send it out to the casters. And as we go, Nagne said he's got to step up his individual game to match the strong mid laners he's going up against in Group D.
저는 롤드컵에 오기 전까지만 해도 충분히 그 나머지 세 팀의 미드라이너한테 안 밀릴 수 있다고 생각하고 코치님도 항상 그렇게 힘을 많이 주셨어요. 근데 제가 그 1주차에서는 그 보답을 좀 많이 못 해드린 것 같아가지고 정말 죄송하고, 이번 2주차에서 치러질 오늘 매치업에서는 꼭 제가 라인전에서부터 좋은 모습을 보여드릴 수 있도록 노력하겠습니다.
Well, Nagne knowing exactly what he needs to get done today. He wasn't able to do it in their first game so much, but we'll see what happens here in KT versus TSM. Now, last week, Bjergsen beat Nagne pretty handily, didn't he?
Yes, he definitely did in CS as well as the solo kill. Yeah, Nagne's going to have to work harder. As you said, in the game they just played, he was the one big mistake that team even made. They didn't make very many mistakes.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, so KT with not a ton to build off of, but honestly, and I know this still sounds weird to say, but I feel like TSM is going to give KT a bit more of the run for their money. Wow, that sense was suddenly very hard. As we go into picks and bans for TSM versus KT Rolster, Gragas and Mordekaiser, the first bans to hit the board.
All right.
Coming to Worlds, we expected, we were guessing, what is it going to be, but for the majority of the bans, it has been pretty the same thing all over. And as I'm saying that, TSM ban LeBlanc.
LeBlanc ban against Nagne. Huh.
Yeah, don't want to let him have that assassin. I wonder what the strategy here for TSM is going to be as far as the early pick on their solo lane.
It could just open up one of the mid lane matchups. A lot of the mid lane have like very distinct counter picks, and LeBlanc does really well into certain matchups. Maybe just Bjergsen has a champion in mind that TSM wants to build a composition around and maybe win that way. This could be pre-planned. Have to see if that comes out later on in the draw phase though.
The Darius ban coming in as well. So Lulu out of the way, Darius ban. They didn't want to give that one over. They will give the Elise to Santorin, but you know, we've seen again and again, Santorin just hasn't had the kind of jungle pressure on the map anyway, so I don't think KT is terribly worried about giving away a strong pick like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, we have seen progress from TSM, so if they go into a similar composition that they run last game and maybe they just got Locodoc and said, okay, up until this point it was good, this is where you guys failed, do this better, do this harder, especially when it gets, again, between Lustboy and Santorin helping each other ward and defend objectives. That was really, really struggling for TSM last game. They could theoretically build the similar composition and play it again, because they did, again, get ahead at 10 minutes, albeit slightly less than 1,000 gold average.
Yeah, true. I mean, and if they pick up this, if KT picks up this Rek'Sai for score, that's going to be great. He's been fantastic on that champion all season long, and Arrow will have no trouble at all playing that Jinx.
Yeah, the Jinx steal away from Turtle is actually a pretty big deal here for TSM as well. They won't be able to go back to that strategy.
Well, if there's one thing that KT has been very good at since the early stages of the spring season this year, is their pick ban. Their draft has been very, very strong. Even when they couldn't quite play out the comps they got, they still got good comps. Will we see that Astra Wild Turtle? I think the Kalista seems a bit more likely.
Yeah, we actually totally glossed over that. Honestly, you're so used to the point at this stage in the World Finals where Kalista just permaban or first pick because she brings so much to the table, but the biggest value that she brings is that your support can suddenly start playing super aggressively and your 2v2 becomes incredibly strong. But TSM's bot lane doesn't strike me as a bot lane that can actually take a lot of advantage of the strengths of Kalista and actually will fall more to the weaknesses of her. So that's maybe one of the reasons why we not seeing a pick up.
Yeah, if you're not a proactive team, then taking Kalista is going to hurt you actually. So they actually
range,
change and they go for the Kog'Maw to try and match a little bit.
Well, TSM, it seems like they just want to play the super late game. They want to just try to hold on for as long as they can.
And they want to play sort of the same pick-oriented strategy here with the skill shots lining up. You know, TSM did already show this strategy, so KT know what they're getting into. Meanwhile, KT, in their first game of the day, they didn't have to show anything because they were given Mordekaiser. TSM already knows, oh, we don't want to give them Mordekaiser.
Mordekaiser is strong.
Yes, Mordekaiser is strong. Got it.
Yeah.
Just a board count.
I'd be a little bit surprised about this Janna lock-in.
I wouldn't like it.
Azir for Nagne makes sense. Nagne is an incredible Azir. Man, if you want a champion to ban out against Nagne, ban Azir. But what do you think, Janna?
I just think if you look at what TSM is trying to build here, especially with Kog'Maw E again, it's not really poke, but it's a poke facilitator. Yeah. If you slow them down, it's easier to connect these pokes. And generally, Janna resets fights against hard engage, but repetitive poke over time, Janna doesn't counter that at all because her ultimate doesn't punish you unless you flash from cocoons, from bindings. If that Veigar gets locked in, which LeBlanc could have countered in lane,
you know
perhaps.
What does counter pick like that, Kepo?
I don't know. Tell me, Kobe. Tom Kench.
I was hoping that we would see the Tom Kench. I was really like crossing my fingers. I thought they were setting it up for a Tom.
That's what I would have picked, seeing this early commitment by TSM to single target CC.
Yeah.
The other side of the equation, though, if TSM fails to get a large advantage by sieging, then the game doesn't revolve around KT Rolls or stopping TSM from taking towers, but then suddenly the burden becomes on TSM to actually get to the carries, get to Azir and Jinx, defended by Rek'Sai and Janna. That becomes impossible in the later stages of the game. So definitely like different spike levels here. In the early game, it's TSM. Later on, it will be KT Rolls.
I don't know though, because if you have the zoning of the Veigar cage and such long range damage here, Veigar, Kog'Maw, Morgana at least can blow up someone from range.
Definitely.
KT do not have a hard tank on their team, so it's going to be sort of an arms race.
Actually, I take that back. With the Veigar locked in, it changes a lot of how this game plays out. I do think TSM have just a lot more easier comp to play here.
What about Fiora here for someday? Oh, Olaf could work too.
I think they need a strong split pusher. Generally, against compositions that are already stronger than you when grouped, you don't beat them by adding another group component to your composition because you will just play into their hand. What you want to do is peel them off, get a split pusher that can win the 1v1s and keep the teleports out of the fight, keep at least one hard CC out, because they're playing similar composition. It's even easier right now. Veigar Cage brings so much zone to these sieges.
Oh, this is 100% going to be an arms race now, because if Olaf runs in, he's going to try and charge the Veigar. Yes, Veigar does have a lot of timing delays that take a while to get used to on the champion, and you can try and bum rush him. But if Turtle is left undetended, he can just melt the Olaf down. So it's going to be a race between can Turtle get enough damage and can the rest of the team have enough damage to burn down the Olaf as he tries to charge.
Well, another part of it I was thinking too is while Turtle's positioning, it's been a problem all week. It was a problem in their first game today too. And on a champion like Kog'Maw, you really can't mess up your positioning too much. If you die early in a team fight, your team is in big trouble.
Also, at KT, they watched TSM's game against Origin, and they saw that the teleport, while it proved useful for Origin, a cleanse a lot more useful here. Double cleanse being ran at the very last minute. That's actually changed from Arrow. You guys can't see that. So one cleanse on Nogna in the mid lane, one heal switch from Arrow there, but that will be fundamental for them to make outplays around that Veigar.
Not only does cleanse make it so you don't have to buy Quicksilver Sash, but also reduces the duration of subsequent CCs that land on you afterwards.
That's right, and it is time to send in your predictions, guys. Hashtag TSM win or hashtag KT win at LOL Esports. Let us know who you think is going to take the third game of the day. TSM in a battle for survival. They have to win this one to keep their quarterfinal hopes alive. And KT on the other side, as we move into Summoner's Rift, a win here will secure their spot in the quarterfinals. A lot riding for both teams on this game. Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
I actually really like the distinction between these two team comps because it's a clash of styles. The hard counter to TSM's composition on paper is the Olaf charging forward. The problem is Bjergsen especially can block any and all follow-up. If he cages behind the Olaf, suddenly he's up front, and that the front-loaded damage coming out of a Kog'Maw burst a little bit with Bjergsen following up and at least maybe executing, that's enough to kill an Olaf in the time that the cage then disappears. So I have to watch out if KT overreaches because they have no hard engage. They don't have any targeted lockdown CC whatsoever. Flash Unburrow is probably the closest they get to that.
Yeah, the key to playing Veigar is not panicking when you do get rushed like that, even though you do have these delays that you have to work around.
Now, Sumday's first game on Olaf in the tournament went really well. He ended up 5-0-1 in that game, put on a solid performance. And anytime you have Someday on really anything, you gotta be a little bit concerned.
Also, the lane swap here coming out for KT, they can knock down turrets really quickly with Jinx. Really quickie turret knocky downy is what I like to call this bottom lane combo of Jinx plus
That is
Janna.
a great comp name.
And they'll need to do that, knocky downy turret, because if you look at KT as a team, they're actually the worst when it comes to turrets overall. They have the largest turrets deficit. They're 0-3 in first towers coming into this game. And out of all the teams, except the wildcard teams, at 15 minutes, they're actually down towers the most. Generally, they're down 1 tower to 2, or 2 towers to 1 rather. Against a composition like this, TSM could snowball that incredibly quickly. They can make that 2nd tower, 3rd tower, 4th tower, and keep sieging and get a gold advantage that way.
Yep, TSM actually going to answer the swap here, though, and they find Peekaboo.
Yeah, Peekaboo has to drop that shield on himself, takes a bit of damage from Wild Turtle as we get that 2v2 up in top lane.
Ooh, a nice little trade there by Turtle. Also got one last W-empowered auto attack on Arrow, where Arrow actually canceled his rocket attack.
More importantly, Jinx, Janna should be able to AFK push with AoE rockets if you can use the shield offensively. That shield being used early delays that push, so now Lustboy and Turtle won't get threatened to get to level 2, where they actually have a lot more CC coming out. Janna doesn't spike as hard level 2, so it's these minor things, but just a single shield can change the entire way this matchup plays out later stages.
Exactly. One shield, one canceled auto, and Turtle plus Lustboy get to level 2 first.
You know, and this is not Peekaboo's normal kind of support, too. So it's obviously something that can work really well, but we'll have to see. I'm a little bit worried.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the map there, down bottom, Dyrus on Malphite. It's going to get shoved in by Olaf. Someday does have plenty of consumables to keep his mana up as well, so he's going to try and shove Malphite in under the turret, which should make him miss CS under there.
Dyrus used teleport, missed CS, and is still behind in experience. I just had to check. Even though those waves equaled out, he's still behind in experience. He's down 8 CS already, and he has expended his teleport. So didn't quite see what happened, but something went wrong here for TSM.
Yeah, no kidding.
don't think he was
a cannon, at least.
They did do a delayed invade, but yeah, the one good thing for Dyrus is that he is on Malphite, full health. They won't dive him down bottom, so he's okay for dying right now.
It comes at the cost for Score here. Score is half a level behind Santorin. Generally doesn't mean all that much in the jungle, but Santorin will need to make an aggressive move then to use that advantage somewhere.
It is a little bit dangerous for Dyrus as the wave is going to push away from him right now. And that may be part of what went into this lane swap. They're actually sending Turtle and Lesboy down bottom.
This is actually TSM being proactive for the first time. Dyrus realizes if he stays in that lane, he's likely to get ganked and gate. Because of the push advantage, this goes all the way back to that initial shield. Because TSM get the first push, they can base whenever they want, and they can rotate and fix that broken lane, so to say, for Dyrus, who now goes back to top lane, where the wave bounced back to him.
Also, look at this quick shove that they did. They're trying to get the minions under the turret to die before Arrow gets there to increase a little bit of a CS lead here for Turtle.
Try to get a little bit. And I mean, this John to pick 2 for Peekaboo really just says that they want to stay in this 2v2. They don't want Peekaboo to roam like he normally does. Yeah. Just going to be a straight up lane for these teams.
Yeah, Janna, when she's pushing, she can use a shield offensively, and then Ara can get a lot of good trades in. When you're pushed in, you very often have to use it defensively, and that loses the trading value on and the extra attack damage that you get from that, in addition that it gets broken very easily. So Janna lane's generally dependent on pushing. She will obviously even out. Nobody's going to kill each other in this lane. It's an incredibly passive lane.
Look at this counter gank that's being set up, though. Okay, never mind. It's not even going to be a counter gank. It's going to be a surprise attack.
Yeah, Aaron Peekaboo could be in a little bit of trouble here. Santorin.
Can he get the skill shot through the minion?
That's the question, right?
Peekaboo's going to walk in.
Oh, geez. Peekaboo's just going to face check it. Exhaust. The skill shot missed, so Peekaboo's still out of trouble. Summoner heal saves him, though. And that gank did not work out. Santorin loses a ton of health at the same time.
All right, we gotta go back to the play, how it's set up. We saw TSM push in base, dodge the bad matchup Olaf into the Malphite. They did exactly the same thing, but instead of basing right now, they faked the base. KT was thinking TSM were repeating the same play. That's why Peekaboo literally face-checked the brush. He should have died.
It was a great setup, but such bad execution there. Binding is one of the widest skill shots.
It's like the Hangover. Part 1 was fantastic, but Part 2, man.
And then, because they messed that up, because they messed that binding, they actually took a ton of damage from a full minion wave there, and this early in the game, that means you're going to lose the trade 3 versus 2.
All right.
So this binding was everything.
I mean, you can just wait. Peekaboo walks in.
And the cocoon behind him.
And then he gets exhausted. And then look at Arrow right now. He's slowly realizing, you can see the moment where he realizes that 3v2 is being won.
That's all on Lustboy, because binding is so much wider. That's the one you lead off with.
Yeah, that's what the junglers say. It's on the support. Your skill shot's wider. Dude's literally face-checking a brush. It's on both of them, Kobe.
All right, fine.
I don't know how you can face-check a bush like that and live. I mean, it's...
Peekaboo, man. Such a great player.
He's so good.
Brush read.
He just passively dodged.
That's what we should be focusing on. You're right, Doa. That's
the way he just like swag walked up to that bush. He's like, hit me, hit me.
I mean, look how ridiculously skinny Janna is.
Yeah, that's really
hard to hit.
Now we know why he picked Janna. If you would have been Tom Kench, if you would have been Tom Kench, that skill shot would have landed.
Probably. Arrow gets hit.
Arrow. Speaking of skill shots landing, Wild Turtle takes some damage too.
Yeah, the spacing on the lane. Black Shield proc after the trap, so damage gets done, and CC on Wild Turtle.
Yep. They actually land the skill shot, lose the trade.
Yep.
Hate it when that happens.
It's the jungler's fault.
That's the support version of win lane, lose game. Where?
Apparently.
Why weren't you ganking, man, when I was winning my lane? Where were you? I relied on you, man.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, actually, Bjergsen, we talked about how great he's been and how he actually destroyed Nagne last time around. This time around, Nagne is doing just fine. Veigar, though, uses a lot of mana and his cooldowns on charging up ability power.
Veigar doesn't care, though. Even is ahead for Veigar because he's constantly spamming Qs for CS because he wants to build AP. He doesn't want to trade at all. So anybody gets relatively a free lane into a Veigar.
He's got plus 43 right now. I don't know. We'll have to check in with Froggen, I guess, to see how good that is.
I've actually watched a lot of Froggen or just any Veigar player, and by the 22-minute mark, you very often see those players on 240 AP already or 250. Wow. And that's with only really a minimal assist, maybe 2 or 3 assists overall. So they just power farm
See, the real thing that you want to look for, though, is getting the double charge.
Every time.
Yeah, exactly. He missed one there, but it didn't matter because there was no pressure in lane. But that's what you always want to look for, how well the laner can set up for both procs to actually get the bonus AP, or for one of the procs to hit for harass as well.
Yeah, and it actually is okay into an Azir matchup, because what Azir likes doing is just AFK pushing you into the tower, but then Veigar can outrange the harass that follows up afterwards. So essentially, except if that happens.
There. Thanks a lot, Bjergsen.
But if you look at him, he gets untouched through the entire laning phase, 77 CS against 77. Tower hasn't really taken all that much damage, about a quarter at best is gone. So Bjergsen doing fine in that matchup because he just gets more value out of his CS.
Score coming in.
Pull it in the brush, pull it in the brush.
Okay, looks like it should be okay. Prey Seeker doesn't connect. It was a long shot, but Score had nothing better to do at the time. Why not try to defend it? But Nagne able to get a lot of damage in on that turret, taking it down to about 50% XP. Maybe more. Wow, that's a ton of damage done for that blue buff.
And that Score just lurking for that blue buff. TSM was aware that he could be there. They take more time securing it, and that allows for, you know, being pushed in the tower. And suddenly, how even that matchup was earlier, it suddenly tilts toward heavy tower damage on Nagne's side.
Yep, Score also rushing to that Sightstone. They've got a lot of vision. Down bottom, though, both junglers see each other, and the fight in bot.
Arrow getting very low as well. Peekaboo, or trying to... Is AD carry healthy enough? Santorum is coming down, though, so KT-wise, you're not chasing that. But here comes Score from the side. Are they actually going to fight this? I don't think so. Teleport coming in for TSM. Dyrus and Bjergsen show up. Big knockup from Dyrus. Arrow gets back under turret, trying to do some damage there. He's still going for now. Dyrus manages to help Bjergsen take him out, and Someday trying to do whatever he can. He's got 1 kill onto Wild Turtle already. Wild Turtle took out Score with the post-death. Massive explosion. Someday backing under turret. Gotta get away. Lustboy nearly died there. Meanwhile, Nagne takes out that mid turret. Someday gone. Wow, and TSM.
Everybody down there. Yes, Nagne did get the mid turret, but TSM just cleaned up.
And again, Nagne, he's running cleanse because he's afraid of that Veigar matchup later on in the game, so he doesn't have that teleport. Double teleport down from TSM. This may be the very first proactive move we've seen pre-10 minutes, and we see it pay off immediately. Watch that again. Double TP comes down. Dyrus lands a double knockup here as well on Arrow. Lustboy goes down, and good CC chaining.
Double knockup, and right after Peekaboo had started channeling the Monsoon, canceling all of that healing.
He also blocks the arrow, the rocket there from the Jinx. Score goes down. This is maybe the only mistake here. Binding misses, so not chained with the cage, but then really good zoning. Dyrus comes back in, and Bjergsen gets the kill. So
expert use of the passive there by Wild Turtle as well.
Got a lot of practice for that.
Well, a kill is a kill, right? And TSM up 4-1 over KT. That said, they are only ahead by 100 gold right now. They did lose that mid lane turret. That hurts a lot in the long game.
It just shows you the strength of TSM's lineup, but also what KT can do later on in these fights.
They sacrifice a lot for those 4 kills.
Yeah.
We'll see if Score with his early Sightstone will be able to punish them, because opening up the mid turret has very big ramifications on the mid-game jungling.
Well, especially for a team like KT. You know, now all that warding that's so dangerous can start to happen.
I mean, coming into the first game TSM played, we talked about how high Bjergsen's impact was on the game. Now he forces his opposing mid laner to go for Cleansey Comp Teleport. In addition to that, Nagne is going with a very unconventional Azir build. Abyssal First is something I don't think we've yet to see ever on an Azir, so he can't go for that normal Nashor's Tooth because he's so afraid of being blown up immediately.
Yeah, very defensive opening. That being said, so much magic damage on TSM. There will definitely be a lot of value in it, but
is he even in range for that aura?
Oh no, not unless Nagne decides to jump in.
Yeah, I guess he doesn't really need it if it's a defensive item. That is true.
Well, KT, I wouldn't be surprised if they want to try to take their first dragon of the game here as Nagne pushes up the mid lane. Looks like that's going to be the plan, to at least set up vision around it anyway. Meanwhile, things very even up in the top lane between Someday and Dyrus. In CS-wise, Someday slightly ahead. He's got that kill, but he also has a death as opposed to the 2 assists from Dyrus. I gotta say that teleport engage from Dyrus was perfect. Yep. Got in there, immediately got the 2-man knockup.
It's the best selling point of Malphite. He has an instant impact from his teleport. You know, you come in, you ultimate, boom, he's a rocket.
I like the execution of the play. What I liked even more was the setup. We saw Santorum path through the lane, showing himself, going for the siege, just making sure they had at least 4 minions alive to dive. The teleports came in at the exactly right timing. KT wasn't ready for it. TSM finally working as a team, going for some plays. Dyrus, though, has to be careful. Sunday's in the brush.
Yep, he is.
And he's Malphite.
Just reckless strikes, so yeah, only takes off that shield.
Doesn't matter. And a Malphite.
Malta.
Malphite.
Malphite. Maybe that's the kind of rock he's made from.
Ah, yes.
There you go. Saved it. Wild Turtle on his own for the moment in the lane, and I think KT might want to take advantage of that. Score finds a pink ward in the tri-brush, though, so not going to go down there and go for the 1v3.
Is he a rock or a mineral?
Yeah, he's
Well,
actually a mountain.
rocks are minerals.
Isn't he a mountain?
I think he's just he's not big enough for that. Come on, man. He's smaller than Joe.
You're the one I refer to on the lore. I'm pretty sure in part of that.
I don't know what his deal is. He's just Malphite.
All right, well, this is going to be zoning TSM off of the bottom turret here.
Yep.
Meanwhile, they really don't have pressure anywhere else, so this is purely gain for KT. They don't give anything up for it.
Easy turret for KT. Nagne was coming down along with Bjergsen just to make sure things went well.
Santorin was just coming from base. It was a late buy from him in the fountain for quite a while, and you, like I said, the duo here, the quickie tower killy combo of Jinx,
Tower pushy
Jinx and Janna. Quick work of it.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive. We talk about how TSM's comp is really fantastic if you can group up Siege, you know, layered CCs, but the way Veigar operates in a sense that he wants to power up, he farms incredibly slowly. He takes 3 Qs for every wave. If there's a cannon, maybe even more so because he wants to get that AP. Q right now, build for Strike, is on a 3.5 second cooldown roughly. So for every instant shove wave by Nagne, it takes over 10 seconds for Bjergsen to clear a wave, and he gets pushed into his side of the map. So that eliminates any sieging potential. So need to see Bjergsen stop prioritizing the AP and start maybe threatening some trades on Nagne to maybe get some turret siege potential.
It is called Team Solo Mid.
You know, and
looking out for #1.
I feel like we got to bring this up again. At 10 minutes, TSM had that gold lead, had that big play, and now we're 15 minutes in, and the gold lead swinging back a little bit for KT.
This time around, though, it is
the opposite from the
exactly. TSM actually have towers on the board that they can take to recoup that gold deficit. To be able to do that, though, you have to either make an outplay as far as map movements are concerned, or
he's collapsing.
Santorin wants Bjergsen to come down and help him out here. Can they do it? Nagne could get caught here. He does. Going to use that cleanse. Peekaboo with the heal just in case. He's out a little bit early, maybe.
Dyrus TP, they have to cut him off from the mid lane and start a siege. They need to get this tower because in the top lane, Someday will push in.
Yeah, you don't want to go for that early dragon. You'd much rather have the early influx of gold that comes from mid turret. TSM, though, they're getting cornered here. Someday does have teleport, and he's using it.
He's going in. He's coming in from behind. Score gets caught, though, by Veigar. He's going to go down. Wild Turtle with the kill there. Can they do anything now?
Yes.
I don't even know if Someday wants to come in.
TSM with the pick right as the teleport started. That timing.
Oh. Score gets himself caught. Wild Turtle gets himself a kill. Someday has to just walk to that mid turret.
This is good for TSM.
It is good for TSM. Literally the only drawback is that Bjergsen actually didn't get the last hit with his Q there. You get a bonus 4 for champions, plus you still get the extra 1.
Wow.
But they got the kill, and it went to Turtle. Also a carry for TSM. Also a good spot for the money to go.
Well, he's got his Trinity Force, and he's putting it to good use, hammering away at that turret. And they've got to be careful. The siege from Veigar is just so good.
Yeah, it's incredibly easy to play as long as you have complete vision of where the enemy members are, because then you can even choose not to hit your cage, but just put it down as a zoning tool for those 2.5 seconds, I believe it lasts. It's just, or 2 seconds at this rank right now, it's impossible.
Oh, the sweeping lens didn't catch that ward.
To be clear, since I said that so quickly, the bonus that Bjergsen loses out on isn't the 5 that you get extra for champions, it's the 1 that you get for the execute, so.
If he lost, it's with Q, but that is...
I'm just saying!
That's undate, yeah.
I don't want...
You know what's going to be in your Twitter feed
exactly.
once you tap out of the game? Yeah.
Well, TSM takes the first dragon of the game. The pressure is starting to be put onto KT. For the first time since their loss versus Origin, Someday they'll responding with that last outer turret for KT Rolster. They do respond. They do.
Oh, this is so unfortunate.
I see you.
Dyrus just based as that ward came over, so.
Yeah, it was actually good communication there from KT because TSM were attempting another grouping down bottom. They had Bjergsen already in transit from the mid lane. And that one ward there from Peekaboo shows everything, the jig is up.
You see Peekaboo here as well. He has the exhaust, which is obviously what you have to run on Janna. The problem is, TSM damage just outranges the exhaust range. It's incredibly hard for Janna to even get an exhaust before the combo lands from the Veigar, from Wild Turtle on that Kog'Maw. So that kind of gets nullified here. Just very range-dependent team fights. If Nagne and Arrow can outrange and get peeled for when TSM's on the back foot, then they can win this fight. But if TSM is sieging, then they have the advantage. So positioning will be incredibly important in this mid game to see who comes out ahead.
Wait for it.
Anytime now.
Wait for it. You want to get this blue buff?
Good old Rek'Sai, at least you can heal up.
Ooh. It's close.
All right, so the thing that we're looking for here, though, is actually KT this time around to be the proactive team. They're the ones with all the outer turrets down and the extra gold advantage from that global gold, so they want to try and use that, you know, before TSM are able to catch up. So, grouping all mid here. Couple pings down top there for Someday. He should be able to scout out and avoid this 3-on-1 situation.
Nagne needs to be careful. Oh, getting some nice poke onto Bjergsen there, though.
Also, Matt moving down bottom here, Janna, she could meet up with Jinx and annihilate a secondary turret. This, for KT, they could get a secondary turret down just for this outer.
Yeah, meanwhile, TSM will try to take that top turret. They'll probably get it.
But mid and bottom, I feel like this is a good trade for KT.
Yeah.
They're just keeping up the pressure. So Janna actually opts to go over to Azir instead of Jinx, but still, they've got pressure on 2 lanes.
And Nagne did
for a tier 1. It's pretty good.
Hashtag Werf in all chat.
Yeah.
If he was allowed. Nagne was actually doing a really good job there, just zoning out Bjergsen. He puts down a couple of soldiers while Bjergsen wants to walk in for cage range. At that point, if he doesn't land the cage, the cost of that play will be his entire health bar. So he has to be incredibly careful, especially since Nagne is running cleanse. So really good proactive play here again from KT, but as long as TSM can keep that gold lead at 1 or 2,000 and the towers are off the map, so there's no additional rotations possible for KT, then they can still have that compositional advantage. You can nullify gold leads by grouping up and being a stronger 5v5 team, and that's what TSM will be looking for.
TSM in the meantime being pushed back even farther onto their side of the map. And it just seems like this is what we see KT do. Slowly but surely, the steamroller just keeps pushing you and pushing you. If they can't get the dragons, they'll get the turrets.
Bjergsen up to 448 AP. Wow. At the moment. So everybody...
That is total, though. That is not bonus. Just to make that clear.
Yes.
Only from his
That
cube.
is total. But well, in comparison, at this stage in the game, Nagne only has 220, so double there.
It's been a bit. Nagne with a little bit lower power build to start off with does have that Nash 2s now, and TSM should be able to take down this mid lane turret. Yep, they'll get it quite easily.
Cage is down though, pings are coming out.
Score coming in from the side. Arrow and Peekaboo are there as well. Rocket misses somehow. Someday trying to slow people down with Undertow. Score caught. Wild Turtle in trouble. Someday will be able to get that kill. KT keeps pursuing. The damage out of Bjergsen is huge. The slow just avoided. Whoa, Peekaboo with the flash ult knocks Bjergsen back into the rest of KT. Dyrus Chase now has to use his flash to escape, and KT, there's the aggressive move.
That was a beautiful wind sec from Peekaboo overall, knocking him back there. But the biggest mistake for me in that fight was Dyrus. On an already locked down target jungler that has no offensive tools anymore in the fight, using Malphite ulti as a single target, he could use that as peel for 3-man follow-up and next Q combo, W combo from Bjergsen there overall. So
yeah,
just great.
At least go to the backline. Both Azir and Jinx are just wrecked by attack speed slows. So if he at least gets to the backline, even either one of those guys, and hits them with the ult, plus then ground slam.
Just keep your eye on the minimap. Every time that cage goes down, you will see pings come out. This is KT saying we have a window of opportunity. Score, obviously, you now get stuck in the wall as you try to pass through. The Dyrus ulti is down. Now Bjergsen's cut off because he has to flash out too. He could have probably pathed to the left side, and then Peekaboo with the Windsec flash over ulti. This is what the only hard engage Janna really has. Every 4 minutes you get that play.
Windsec, I like it.
Yeah, just overall better team fight play there from KT.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, part of that too, Wild Turtle up front, they split him off from the rest of his team, and Someday just basically got the axe into death.
But you see, like, you need to know your role in the team fight, and you can't just afford, okay guys, we got one guy, blow him up. Veigar will blow that guy up regardless. He doesn't need more CC than the 2 seconds or 2.5 as his cage scales up. That is enough for him to blow it up. You need to just buy enough time for the second rotation of spells to come up, and then have another Binding Chain, and Wild Turtle and Bjergsen can whack away at the target.
Yeah, because Someday won't give you any time. Pop the Ghost, Olaf comes charging in, and he's going to take down one of the carriers. We talked about it being an arms race. You can't afford to overcommit cooldowns to a single kill. There we go. KT cleaning up, though.
Yep. Someday doing a lot of damage to that top turret. Can Dyrus do anything to stop him? Nagne coming in. Someday not wanting to take a lot of turret hits. That said, the game's still fairly close. TSM only one turret behind, still has that kill lead, very close in gold too. Just need a bit more coordination.
Doing some bookkeeping here. Bjergsen is about to reach 200 additional AP from that Q. So he's charging up. He's sitting right now on 520 total ability power.
Yep. Also, minuscule things that people are doing right now. Santorin smiting the wolf camp there immediately to get very safe vision over that blue quadrant of the jungle for TSM as KT move up there, and they are trying to take down that turret.
As you fall behind, wolf vision and scuttle crab is undeniable vision. That's really what you want to get.
Yeah, the priority on what to use your smite on for the bonuses changes over the course of the game. Here we go, though. TSM making their way down towards the Dragon Pit. Can they close KT off?
They want that second dragon. Will they be able to get it?
Watch for that cage.
Could be the flank here, too. You can only cage in one direction. Score over the wall there. TSM in a little bit of trouble. KT, they try to take it. They don't get it. TSM secures their second dragon. They get the lock onto Score. Score in a bit of trouble. But now Someday getting into the back lines after Score goes down. He's going to run away, though, taking way too much damage. Dyrus goes ahead. That's a bit dangerous. Nagne with the kill onto Wild Turtle. Oh, there's a double kill now. He took up Bjergsen. Lost point going down. And TSM completely routed in this fight. KT all over them, a triple kill for Nagne, and he's gonna make it a quadra with this kill onto Lustborn.
Dyrus tried to ult for a kill on Someday. An Olaf with the ultimate up.
There's a mentality that you really need to learn at the highest level, where it's if you kill somebody, you zone them to base. But if you chunk them and they can't join the fight anyways, you zone them to base for half the time anyway. So it's better to use your tools to really peel for your team. Also, if you looked at how golden Wild Turtle was there, that was a Zeke's pop. So that was a 50% crit chance bonus in that fight, and TSM kind of chickened out. They could have just kept fighting, killed Someday immediately, and then just used Kog'Maw passive while KT was bunched up to win the remaining part of that fight, combined with a Malphite ulti. So,
I mean, you talk about trust between teammates, and plays like this really undermines that kind of trust, doesn't it?
I mean, look at a 50% crit here on Wild Turtle, and just walks away, doesn't want to get
This
Someday.
is actually well played, because they all turn on Someday. They force him out, but then Dyrus, he ults the Olaf
Nagne was right
with
there.
his ultimate ult. Nagne was right there.
Yeah.
And they had Elise right next to him.
Oh, Nagne, you can't mess around with a zero player like that.
Outplayed.
Yeah, because we're focusing here on the mistakes on TSM, but we have to hand it to KT too. They played that fight beautifully. Arrow stayed alive. That's what Jinx has to do, even with so much damage coming out. Nagne played in the center of the fight, not afraid to get potentially knocked up, but then it makes that flashy Shurima shuffle or whatever you can call it to really open up that play. So fantastically played fight from KT, but the opening was left by TSM.
Yeah, you're talking about Arrow staying safe. Never mind, we got action.
Ooh, Someday caught a little bit. Nagne as well, but not a lot of damage dealt. Wild Turtle takes a turret hit, but he'll be able to sustain back up very quickly.
Arrow did a good job of splitting away from Nagne. The situation we talked about before where Dyrus wants to wreck one of those two targets with his ult and attack speed slow. They just have to stay split up. Dyrus actually didn't end up getting either of them in the last fight.
Getting aggressive here. Score thinking about going in. There's some damage onto Dyrus with those Sand Soldiers.
See a lot of
has all the aggression here.
See a lot of Mercury threads being built too to really deny that cage. So it can throw you off too when you expect a certain amount of cooldown to really work when you CC somebody. That being nullified by Merc threads can really throw you off your game too. In addition to that Score, it looks like he's getting caught, but he's just always soaking the damage because he's the tankiest member on that team with the least amount of damage respectively. So KT just using him as a bait and then sending in Nagne and Arrow to clean up the job. Peekaboo also has a Mikhails right now, so that's another tool to really combat that chain CC.
I love this hyper defensive build by Nagne as well, because he's still getting plenty of damage on. He's still making plays, but he's so much safer than the average Azir would be in this situation. Very cool to see. And if you look at the Korean Azir players, Nagne and Coco on CJ are the two best, and they play in very different styles, but Nagne is a very, very safe and solid Azir player.
And these random Baron starts are usually symptomatic to poor shot calling and not having a multi-step plan. Just randomly starting Baron means the team is struggling. If you want to start a Baron there as TSM, you want some deeper wards so you at least can see if the jungler's around, because it is so easy for Score to dive under the ground, see some blimps pop up on his minimap, and then just send his Prey Seeker over.
Pretty much. Well, KT with all the advantages for the moment anyway. The gold lead growing. They've tied in kills.
Yeah, TSM, you know, running a very, very similar strategy in back-to-back games today. KT definitely benefiting from seeing it earlier. They came in with so many answers. Cleanse on the mid laner, Olaf for top laner, even Mercury treads on those champions as well, so when the removal isn't there, they still have reduced.
I think I know some other people aren't going to be getting their pick'ems right. That fan vote in favor of TSM, and at certain points in the game, well, maybe it wouldn't have been too unreasonable to agree with that. I mean, as this game has gone on, KT has just taken edge after edge.
Don't forget what's on the line here. If TSM don't win this game,
this is
KT
World,
it's World.
That's right. I mean, this is the entire tournament for TSM. They won't be done for the day, but they won't be going to the quarterfinals if they lose this game right now. And KT, you know, they'd have another chance, but they want to lock that up right now. Bjergsen taking a lot of damage there, puts down the defensive cage.
Look how Nagne and Ira are always protecting each other. He's basically saying, Bjergsen, well, if you want to kill my mid laner, I will blow you up in return. And Bjergsen really can't afford to take that risk since so much of the damage is reliant on him really carrying these fights with multiple iterations of that combo.
Yeah, Bjergsen has to get off multiple rotations of spellcast here for them to win the game.
Yeah. Arrow with the QSS now, and he's going to be even more safe. And as the game goes on, there's going to be more and more answers to the CC coming in from TSM, too.
It's all reliant on Dyrus right now. He has the only knockup that people can't play around unless they flash, so he really needs to find an opening where flash is down somehow and connect, or come out from a flank where they don't expect to hit. Predict the flash somehow, some way. He needs to get that knockup, and then TSM can chain and use the zoning part of the cage to really find an opening, because Cleanse, QSS, Olaf ultimate, Score just soaking up the damage for fun. So many answers here from KT.
Yep. It doesn't really catch anyone. I suppose Nagne may have taken a bit of damage there. Didn't quite see it on our screen. Dragon up now. And TSM, here's where maybe you do get a little bit worried if you're KT. If they do get those 3 dragons in a row, you really got to be concerned about the pressure that's going to bring. I don't think KT is going to allow this one. We'll see if they can do anything about it. Score coming in. Can he steal this dragon away? The cage laid down. The dragon regenerating health.
Flank from behind.
That's right. He's trying to come from behind. Someday Oliver Wild Turtle already. Bjergsen in a lot of trouble. Bjergsen goes down before the fight really even starts. And there goes Olaf, but KT still in big time control of this game. Dyrus denied, and Nagne doing a ton of damage along with Arrow again. And that's going to be a dragon for KT after they finish off TSM.
Too many lost team fights for TSM.
Yep.
KT have won the arms race already.
They really have, and getting that dragon takes all the pressure off of that 5th dragon danger that TSM might have presented. KT has it all now.
Yeah, and actually something really interesting happened. I hope we get that on a replay. It was a double pincer. It was actually KT trying to flank from the bottom and doing the same thing Dyrus was doing from the left side. Yeah. However, if you look at the pings on the map again, KT pinged out Dyrus' exact location, so they were aggressively pushing forward. TSM were too afraid to commit on the left side of the flank. Just watch it right here. This is Dyrus on the left side. Look at
he's in a ward.
Complete mirror on the bot side. Olaf is flanking, KT is pushing aggressively, and Peekaboo is peeling with ulti. That's why they took Dyrus so long to get to the fight, and they instantly pop Bjergsen here. So if you're in a position like that, if you're TSM, you really have to commit to the left side of the fight, move away, because you can almost bet your money on it that Olaf will be flanking from behind you.
Yeah. I mean, that was just such a great play by Peekaboo. Knew exactly where Dyrus was because of that ward, threw in the Q, knocked him up right as he would have started coming in, and Dyrus had to watch his team die.
The entire jungle from TSM on the red side was lit up with wards. They had complete information, and a team like KT, you don't want to give complete information because they're so good at making the right choice at the right time.
They're also so good at getting that information. They always have those wards in.
Yeah, they just let TSM start up the dragon, take damage from it. Yeah, close the pincer.
Peekaboo actually places 14% more wards than the average support. So he's actually just, it's on the verge of, is he overwarding? How efficient are his wards? Because he places the most wards out of any support here at Worlds.
It's working out well, and Score, you know, places on the higher side of wards from a jungler too in Korea. And so between the two of them, it's really tough to take away that vision in your side of the map once they get it rolling. It's been kind of the theme for this team all through the tournament. It's continuing today as they look poised to lock up their spot in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and Score and Peekaboo is one of those cases where 1 + 1 = 3. When they combine themselves, you know, they do a little fusion dance. Support jungle synergy becomes just greater than the opposing team. Compare that especially to Santorin and Lustboy, where it just hasn't quite been there yet.
All right, let's see if the Rek'Sai split push works out. Does she even have a tunnel on this side? I think they're just gonna let him clean that up and back away.
There's a tunnel near mid, I think, but that's about as close as it gets for TSM, or for KT rather.
Oh, they're going to rotate the rest of the team over to mid then.
Yep. And if you're TSM, what do? You need to make picks at this point. You just have to hope for somebody getting out of position. But
again, we come back to that arms race. Sometimes money does buy you happiness. Everybody's got Mercury treads, Quicksilver sash. They've even got...
It keeps you alive, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
If I was on KT, I'd be very happy right now. That's for sure.
Still, though, you can't ignore how much damage Veigar deals, especially once he's reaching level 60, 15.5 right now for Bjergsen.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have a check right here. The ulti alone already deals 1,300 damage right now.
Without taking into account the ability power of your opponent either.
Yeah. Oh.
Nagne would get just annihilated.
Guys, stop building ability power. He's too strong.
You know, to Nagne's credit, though, he has not died yet this game. We saw in the interview before the game began that he knew he needed to step up. He was a weak link on KT. And in this game, finally, Nagne, I feel like, is looking like the Nagne we knew in Champion Summer in Korea.
I feel like KT, just the team has played this game really, really intelligently. After seeing the early game earlier today.
They look better today than last week.
All of the information, and TSM daring to go for the same sort of strategy here. They have countered them very well.
You see a similar build coming out of Peekaboo as we saw from Mithy. Talisman of Ascension combined with Mikhail's Crucible. Honestly, it is the best build almost on Janna. Usually, he started on Thresh too. Just counteracting so many things from TSM's team composition. They're too close, we run away. They hit a CC, we just cleanse it immediately.
Still would have liked to see Kench, but that's just me.
Still would have liked to see some AP build on Peekaboo.
Can't do that against Veigar, man.
Bjergsen's gonna blow him up.
Bjergsen just ranked up his ulti.
Guys, man.
Oh, here we go. Someday another flank, and he pops a ghost.
That's right. Coming in now, going to run towards Wild Turtle, turning around onto Bjergsen, takes him out with the fadeaway undertow, and KT just backing off with Nagne that low. I think they'll be happy with that.
Yep, they're going to take that victory and back out. Now, let's see what TSM can try and do with this map control that they have. 2 recalls.
If Nagne had a Rabadon's death cap, he would have died there.
He just made one.
Oh, just in time.
Just in time. He would have actually died there because he lived with a sliver of health. And Bjergsen, since he got level 16, the damage on that ulti right now is a 1,520.
Wow. How many hit points does Nagne have?
Plus 80%.
Plus 80% of his ability power. Bjergsen obviously did a Q. Nagne sitting on about 2.5k HP with a comfortable
it would nearly
100 magic resistance. Yeah, if he went through damage. But
you die in one combo is what you're saying.
Yeah. But KT also, they deserve credit not only for, you know, sort of the counters that they came up with, but also the way they played the early team fights.
Yeah.
TSM very well could have still won this game, even with, you know, what they were facing. Well, if they had played the team fights better earlier. Turtle gets out, though.
Wide Turtle a little bit of trouble. Someday, though, taking a lot of damage. He's got to be careful here. Fade away slow, and KT on the run. Arrow caught. That's a problem. As Peekaboo pops the ult for the heal, is it enough? It is. Dyrus having to back away, and KT still in that retreat. No, the retreat is turned into offense. Nice double knockup from Score as KT comes back in, but they still need to be careful. Bjergsen has been untouched. Nagne! Oh, huge blow, but Bjergsen lights him up. It's enough, though, and the kill comes in for Arrow. He is barely alive. KT, how did they get out of that with 1 for 3?
Whoa, Arrow going back in there, playing very dangerously. Gets the rocket kill and reset, though, able to run out afterwards. If Turtle hadn't run out of mana there, he was chunking people.
No kidding. Man, Nagne just knew that it was on him to save that team fight, and he delivered. Finally, his first death of the game, but it was a noble death.
Noble sacrifice overall. But Nagne, the value from that cleanse, you could definitely see. Like, teleport wouldn't have saved him there. He would have got insta-gib by Bjergsen here. And at the same time, though, you can see that TSM, hang on, Turtle.
Yeah, Wild Turtle could be in a lot of trouble, and by could be in a lot of trouble, I mean he's definitely dead. KT Someday with yet another kill onto Wild Turtle with that Olaf. He's 6-2-6. There's just nothing Wild Turtle can do to stay away from him.
Yeah, the entire point I was trying to make is like, if Wild Turtle and Bjergsen can do a lot of damage in these fights, stay alive for just long enough, they can actually turn these fights around, then Turtle dies.
Yeah. Been the kind of the story of the game and maybe the tournament for TSM. Bjergsen again doing everything he can on this Veigar. He's definitely dangerous, but they need more than him.
Death is the best CC. Accident does not affect it. That's going to leave open the dragon. It's very easy here for KT to even it up.
Yep, Arrow just goes ahead and solos that at level 17, and that's their second of the game. Basically no chance now for really either of these teams to get the 5th dragon, but it's more important that KT can keep it away from TSM.
I just added up a single combo from Bjergsen. Roughly equates to 3,700 damage if you land QWR. That is Arrow gone. He just gets blown off the map. So that is still a win condition, because it doesn't matter how late you get in the game, no way Arrow could ever exceed that. And as the game goes on, the AP goes up and up and up on Bjergsen. So
yeah, and as you say, it doesn't matter how long it goes late in the game. TSM actually want it to go longer. The longer this goes now, they're ones actually trying to stall this out and make it to super, super late.
Because you're thinking QSS beats Veigar Cage. Later in the game, Bjergsen can literally just flash R.
Yep.
That is enough to take down Arrow. Not yet, but then 48 minutes into the game, that could be enough, especially if he gets that Void Staff, which he actually finished.
KT having to back away here. TSM finding score on Someday, but where's the flank? They could be coming in. Yeah, they got to be careful with that. Arrow trying to go after that Rift Scuttler. Nagne gets caught though. Oh, that is it. No chance. That's what happens if you get too close to Bjergsen.
The Veigar.
TSM, a good team fight. They're going to get the Baron. They could still turn this one around.
Someday.
Yeah, but they have no Nagne. Someday getting trapped in the box. He has ult, he has to run away. This Veigar just does way too much damage, and TSM, Rocket comes in, but he can't pull a Wild Turtle on that one.
Who needs Smite when you have Veigar?
I guess so.
There it is. You talked about the burst from Veigar. Can't underestimate this. Bjergsen takes down Nagne. Also, no stun necessary. No cleanse popped.
Even though Someday can break out of that cage, you can also see the Zeke's being so useful on Wild Turtle as he goes to later parts of his build. The amount of damage he's putting out, he doesn't even a crit Lion champion. Let's see how that went down.
He did get the stun. Nagne just didn't cleanse.
Just didn't see it coming, wasn't aware. That cage got placed right over the edge of the wall, so he didn't really see, I guess, the cast come out that well. Really good placement there from Bjergsen.
I feel like I need to check again, make sure he had cleanse up before
dangerous ward for Nagne to be placing there. Got caught now TSM with a Baron-powered push down the mid lane.
Siege is what they do best with this comp. We've seen it before.
Yeah, taking out that turret with no problems. Can KT put together some sort of flank to stop this? That turtle, or that tower rather, dying extremely fast, and TSM looks like they're gonna get an inhibitor here. Not quite dead yet. There goes inhibitor number 1, and TSM has to disengage. Someday has to teleport, but not opting to flank. A little bit too dangerous for KT.
Check in on this Bjergsen power play after we see.
I guess so.
Let's play building that Mikhails, just even to get rid of some minor slows here, because the only hard to see that is left right now is like an Olaf axe. So I'm not sure if why he wants to do it. I guess just doesn't want to commit to getting close range fight, because you could also play Morgana in a way where you can keep the Zeeks up and then move in with an aggressive Zhonya's ulti as a zoning tool. Let's play playing at the max range of the fight here.
Plus 312 extra ability power from Bjergsen there on the passive brings him over 1,200.
That's a lot of AP.
Let's see here.
Teleport coming in for Dyrus. They're going to try to catch Someday. Someday in a little bit of trouble. Use that Ghost. Has no flash. Slows down Santorin, but Bjergsen trying to flank here.
Instead.
Oh, maybe. Pikachu trying to save his top laner here. Someday dodging around, takes some damage. Dyrus over the wall. Doesn't work out with that ultimate. He did it during Ragnaros again. It does not work.
Krepo's pulling his hair.
CC does not work on Olaf when he's got his ultimate popped.
What's the saying? If you fail, if at first you fail. Never mind.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it didn't cost them, that much. There is a fairly short cooldown on the Malphite ultimate. So although they didn't get the pick, TSM shouldn't be heavily punished for not getting that pick. The big difference really is that both teleports are down for TSM, whereas KT now have the teleport advantage. because TSM actually did expend both Bjergsen and Dyrus teleports for that attempt.
Yep. They would have taken out Someday. It would have been big to do that right before Dragon. They could have gotten a lot of vision in. Looks like they'll still get an opportunity to set things up around the Dragon Pit.
And once again, you know, catching Olaf out, you mentioned the cage on Olaf really early. Getting him to pop the ultimate is a really big cooldown. Olaf is a fairly finicky
I'll just tell you how big
fighter.
Kobe.
He really depends on a concise all-in push. He cannot have multiple attempts.
Yep, 48 seconds cooldown on that ultimate, so it's a one use, single use in a fight. And more importantly, if he charges to the range where his ulti can get popped for a cage, he takes so much damage that he either has to commit or just flee the fight and never...
Yeah, he builds half damage in his build. He's not a full tank, so he does get shredded very quickly.
All right, teleport wards are available. Someday has teleport. We could see a flank come out here.
Good. They've got vision of TSM coming in, but the pressure really on for KT. TSM looking like they might be able to take this one.
Yeah, Someday just recalling here, not even going for a teleport play, so they just give up the turret. TSM.
Someday has distortion, no home guard, so he can't really rush in as he should with the home guards.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that he picked that up. Huh.
Wants more teleports, but why get more of teleports with limited use than just one good teleport to really seal the deal and just rush in as quickly as you can to get maximum value out of that ulti? TSM should check that brush for a pink ward.
Yeah. I mean, they also need
team effort.
Oh,
they have two upgraded sweepers on the team as well.
Sweepers don't. You probably sweep that brush and
no, I mean for the regular ward.
Yeah, it's clean and you're like, oh, there's a pink in here every time.
This is just one of those games where whoever has the best last team fight will win it. Dragon taken by TSM. Score caught. Got to be careful. Nagne coming from the side Someday. No ult used yet by him. Got to be careful.
Back up.
That's right. 3 dragons for TSM, so they can
looking
start
for a better target
again.
this time.
Try to find it. KT just has to back away again.
So what we were talking about earlier, the choke point control from TSM is just fantastic. It is almost impossible to miss skill shots when teams are either face-checking you or walking into choke points. We saw the face-check go wrong earlier, but now this time we did see a fantastic cage from Bjergsen. Either it zones them or Score overcommits and almost gets blown up.
That hyper late game that we're looking for TSM quickly approaching here. They already have the base wide open too. So continuing with the siege.
Try, Score. Bjergsen's just doing so much damage right now. TSM just muscling their way into the base. A little bit of damage done by KT. Some damage taken by TSM. There it is. They're going to try to engage big Jinx Rocket. They got Kog'Maw. They could get more. This is it. Dyrus comes in for the counter engage. Arrow gets low, but they managed to take down Santorin. There goes Dyrus. A double kill for Nagne. Lostboy and Bjergsen still alive, but not for long. Bjergsen taken out, and TSM loses a huge team fight. Those death timers are long.
Yep, 50 seconds there left on most people, and over that on the solo laners, KT are going to go straight up the middle for this one.
I mean, you talked about this earlier, Professor Kobe. You know, it takes 30 seconds to leave the base and get to the point. How quick can they end this?
Well, they're going past 30 seconds here.
They have an end game Jinx here, plus Janna, so KT can go for the victory.
It's all on Lustboy.
TSM were so close.
They were so close, man. And I don't know if there's any stopping KT now. The death timers are just too long. And Lustboy is the only one standing between TSM and the end of the world season for them. There goes Nexus turret number 1. Lustboy goes down, and there's no defense. There goes a Nexus. TSM is out of Worlds, and KT secures their spot in the quarterfinals.
Wow, what a spectacular ending there for KT. Again, coming out ahead in the team fight, and it earns them the Nexus.
Well, TSM really put up a fantastic fight. Bjergsen obviously did work on that Vhagar. Wild Turtle did some work on that Kog'Maw, but that is it.
Definitely more impressed with the TSM of this week so far than the one of last week.
Absolutely,
But, I mean, the progress is just too little too late, because at the same time, KT is also just getting used to the world stage. They're improving. They played a pretty immaculate game. The only way for KT really to lose was those late game fights. And then earlier in the game, TSM had a couple of setups where there was absolutely no counterplay possible from KT if TSM executed to 100% perfection. Luckily for them, that didn't happen.
That was one of those games where the tiniest of mistakes means the difference between winning and losing, and that's exactly what we saw. It was really very, very small things that gave KT the win in the end. What do you say? These guys, they're now 4-1 on the week. They've locked in that spot in the quarterfinals, so we know another team moving on.
Yep, congratulations to both Origin and KT.
Yep.
I believe they're both secured now.
I would never guess that Origin alone would top this group, that LGD would do so poorly. So very big surprise here in this group.
You know, now the big story here, I think, is KT versus Origin. When they have that game later, who's going to take it? That is really the battle for first place in this group, and that's such a big deal now because the teams in first and the teams in second, that seeding really matters.
Also, if you look at just their play as absolutes, if you compare it to the other groups, any team finishing first here could go far in the tournament because the second
Group
place
D has looked really strong.
The second place teams in the other groups are likely to fall to either Origin or KT here, so they could actually solidify a very long run in this tournament if they make first, so that game will be incredibly important.
And Nagne on your screen right there, you know, what a performance for him on that Azir. Finally getting to play the type of game that we know him for from his play in Korea. Had a really rough week one, had a rough first game, I think, of the day too, but finally against TSM when it matters most, he delivers.
Some redemption for himself at that dragon fight, really cleaned up.
Some really good combo, also just the early push. We expected from an Azir. Yes, you let the Veigar farm, but the moment Bjergsen stepped away for that blue buff that Nagne already had, he knocked away 80% of that tower immediately. Right. And that opened up the pushy tower, call it what you want strategy.
Quickie, pushy tower killer.
Yeah.
And 2 tower lead for KT, who were up to this point the worst tower performing team in the league against the siege composition from TSM. So they bought themselves plenty of time to get rolling.
Well, KT, again, you know, looking better this week. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the quarterfinals for them. But whoever they end up facing, I think is going to have a pretty hard time. Definitely.
Definitely agree there. The training in Group D, I think, for everyone went really well for all these teams.
Yeah, well, except for LGD.
I mean...
Yeah, Kobe, come on, man.
Come on. What a troll.
For the teams moving on?
Okay, there we go. All right, for the teams escaping from Group D, it went pretty well. That works. Yeah.
There's also just no innate weakness. Like, if you look at some of these teams, they have like these clear weaknesses that they have to improve and work around. I don't really see that necessarily in KT. Maybe if we analyze the games a lot deeper. The one weakness in this composition was obviously the lack of hard CC, but they play around that pretty well. Nagne and Arrow together, they work as a team too. You always see them close enough in a fight to help each other if they get aggressed upon, but far enough that there's never a potential of double CC hitting them. So in that sense, their team fighting has been pretty immaculate.
That's right. So now let's send it over to Shox, who is standing by in the interview lounge with KT's man in the mid lane, Nagne.
For sure. Nagne, congratulations. What a game on Azir. Fantastic. And you guys played phenomenally throughout the team fights, yet the game became so close, and TSM even almost managed to push your base. What do you think happened, and how did you end up winning it?
나그네 선수 이번 경기에서 되게 팀이 엄청난 한타력으로 경기를 유리하게 이끌어가다가 마지막에 아슬아슬하게 겨우 따라잡힐 뻔했지만 극적으로 또 이겼습니다. 이번 경기에 대해서 좀 평을 해주세요.
일단 이번 경기에서는 상대방이 베이가를 준비했는데 우리 입장에서는 베이가한테 궁만 안 맞으면 충분히 이길 수 있다고 생각하고 초반에 우리가 라인전에서도 많은 우위를 점했기 때문에 좀 쉽게 이기는가 싶었더니 약간 베이가를 생각을 조금 안 한 것도 있긴 했어요. 그래서 그런 부분에서 조금 당황하기도 했고, 근데 후반에는 좀 상대의 집중력이 조금 떨어지지 않았나 그렇게 생각돼요.
So I don't think we were fully prepared against Veigar pick. We thought that after we saw that Veigar pick, we thought that as long as we don't get hit by Veigar's ult, we should be fine. And the lane phase wasn't too bad for us. So we thought the game would snowball towards our favor. But overall, we weren't fully prepared, and we got kind of picked up by Veigar. But then at the end, TSM kind of didn't focus too much, and they made some mistakes. So that's how we were able to capture the game.
You did, and it was off the back of a great Azir play from you. We knew that last week after your performances, you weren't the happiest person. We heard a video before the game that you were looking to do better, improve yourself this week. How happy are you with your play so far? And do you think it is good enough to make it further than a quarterfinal, which you're already qualified for now?
나그네 선수 지난주에 본인의 경기력에 좀 실망한 모습을 스스로 좀 보여줬었고 경기 사전 인터뷰 영상 때도 본인이 좀 더 나은 경기력을 보여줄 것 같다고 말씀하셨는데 이번 경기 승리로 좀 본인의 경기력에 만족하시고 하는지, 그리고 두 번째 질문으로는 지금 이제 이 상태로 본인의 KT 팀을 좀 더 8강, 4강 넘어 결승까지 캐리할 수 있을 것 같은지 말씀해 주세요.
일단 제가 1주차에는 막 긴장을 좀 많이 하고 막 부담감 같은 게 조금 많아서 제 플레이대로 이렇게 하지 못한 게 많았어요. 근데 2주차에서는 코치님과 뭐 감독님 모두가 저한테 믿음을 주고 충분히 넌 잘할 수 있다고 그런 식으로 마인드 컨트롤을 많이 해주시고 저도 조금 편안하게 좀 생각을 가지면서 자신감은 잃지 않게 약간 패기 부리는 식으로 게임을 했어요. 근데 그게 오늘은 잘 풀리기도 했고 뭐 잘리기도 했는데 오늘 경기력에 대해서는 뭐 두 판 다 이겨서 만족하는 편이에요.
So I think for week 1, I wasn't too confident and I wasn't too sure of my plays. But during that transition from week 1 to week 2, but my coaching staff helped me reset my mindset and they gave me a lot of confidence and told me that I could still carry my team. So for today, I tried to convey that confidence, but not be too cocky. Overall, I did make some mistakes, but I think I did well for the 2 games today.
Well, confidence is also what you'll need if you're going to go into that game versus Origin. Up next for you guys for that first seed in the group, and we know how important that is. What are your thoughts on that matchup and the mid lane matchup specifically?
이제 마지막으로 이제 오리젠 팀이랑 1시드를 두고 이제 다투게 됐는데 이제 오리젠 팀과 또 그 미드라인 엑스페케 선수와의 그 라인전에 대해서 어떠한 다짐을 경기 임하실 건지 말씀해 주세요.
일단 제가 지난 1주차에서는 모든 미드라인을 상대할 때 약간 부담감을 가지고 했다고 생각돼서 이번에는 어차피 일단 8강을 확정 지어놨으니까 최대한 약간 부담감을 내려놓고 편안하게 게임을 임할 생각이에요. 그래서 뭐 오리젠이 절대 약한 팀이 아닌 건 맞지만 그래도 지금 했던 앞선 2경기보다는 조금 마음의 짐을 덜어놓고 게임할 수 있을 것 같아서 오히려 그게 더 좋은 결과로 이루어질 수도 있을 것 같아요.
So last week, I think I was too pressured while I was playing the other mid laners, but now we secured our spot for the quarterfinals, so I think I can play more confidently and show my plays, and I don't feel that pressure in my mind anymore. So I think I can play better for the next game against Origin and Xpeke.
Well, we will see. Congratulations on securing that spot in the quarterfinal. OG versus KT is later. After the break, Origin versus LGD is coming up first, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This could be the final game of our careers, guys.
No, it's not. We play one more.
Oh. This could be the second final game of our careers.
No, it's not.
All right.
Big knockup from Dyrus. Arrow gets back under turret, trying to do some damage there. He's still going for it out. Dyrus manages to help Bjergsen take him out. Keeps pursuing. The damage out of Bjergsen is huge. The slow just avoided. Whoa, Peekaboo with the flash ult knocks Bjergsen. Comes back in, but they still need to be careful. Bjergsen has been untouched. Nogday comes in. Oh, huge blow, but Bjergsen lights him up. Damage taken by TSM. There it is. They're going to try to engage Big Jinx Rocket. They got Kog'Maw. They could get more. This is it. Dyrus comes in for the counter engage. Arrow gets low. KT secures their spot in the quarterfinals.